All right, good morning, y'all. It's a little bit early in my kitchen, and it's a weekday too, but today I have a special meal prep video for y'all. One of my favorite Mexican taco dishes, or meat toppings for a taco, is barbacoa. And today I'm going to be making for you what's kind of typically served in most Texas taquerias in terms of tacos. Like if you lived in Houston, and you went to like a Mexican meat shop, they usually will have like a little side bar, not really a sidebar, but a food bar that's serving Mexican food. And usually you can pick up a pound, half a pound, 2 pounds of this barbacoa from there. And this is typically what you're gonna get. This recipe is typically what you're gonna get if you buy barbacoa tacos in a meat shop in Texas. And so yeah, without further ado, let's get started with the recipe for barbacoa. All right, these are the ingredients for barbacoa. So it's very, very simple for this Texas barbacoa. You're just gonna need 2 to 3 pounds of beef cheek or chuck roast. Now, beef cheek is one of those things, it's not that easy to find unless you have like a large Hispanic population in your city. You probably can get beef cheek in most Mexican meat shops, thinking like La Michoacan in Houston. I don't know about Seattle. I've actually bought this beef cheek at Winco, which is a regional grocer. It's a cash and carry grocer. And they have a lot of like the cuts that are prevalent in Hispanic cuisine at that Winco. So I got that there. If you can't find beef cheek, make sure to get chuck roast. You want some meat with adequate fat content. You don't want a lean meat for this dish because the fat is really going to flavor the dish. The next bit is, typical table salt. You don't need anything fancy here. I actually prefer this iodized salt because I can control exactly how much goes in. You're going to want, like, depending on the amount of meat you have, you're going to want to scale this. So this is the part that I would not measure with your heart. For me, I like to put in a 3/4 teaspoon per pound of meat. And after it's done cooking, you can adjust for salt. I like a lot of taco shops in Texas, I feel like make the meat too salty. And so I like to tone down the salt a bit and then maybe adjust up if I want. But for my taste and palate, I think 3/4 teaspoon is the best for me. The next is your aromatics. So you have some very basic aromatics. I have these 2 small onions that I quartered. You can do the same thing with half a medium onion, just quarter it. I have bay leaf and I have garlic. Now these can be pretty measure with your heart with these. You can put as little as 1 or 2 bay leaves or maybe 2 cloves of garlic. I like to put this amount. Try not to overdo the garlic or the bay leaf. You don't want to completely overpower the meat, just a little bit. So maybe 1 to 2 cloves per pound. 1 to 2, maybe 3 cloves per pound. I would say 2. And then about a bay leaf or 2 per pound of meat. Cool. So first things first, we're gonna need to sear the meat, and then we're gonna add all of the ingredients to a crock pot and then wait. But let's go ahead and sear the meat. All right, let's sear the meat. So one of my pro tips is beef cheek is a pretty fatty cut. So I usually like to kind of grease the pan first, kind of like what you would do at a Korean barbecue restaurant with like the fatty pieces of meat to kind of grease the grill. Or not grease the grill, grease the pan. And you don't really need to fry this with oil. Like you're just gonna kind of sear these guys over like medium-high heat, basically. I have gas, so it is pretty easy to fire this thing up. And yeah, I'm gonna probably sear each of these pieces of meat on both sides and we'll go from there. Now the key with searing, you don't wanna overcrowd the pan. I think if you overcrowd the pan, it's going to there's gonna be too much moisture release and your food is gonna steam instead of sear, which is not what you want for this. I think Probably maybe one more piece, maybe a small piece. 1/4 for now. Oftentimes you're gonna find these pieces of meat to stick while they still haven't seared completely yet. Once they sear well, they should be able to release from the pan. I'm gonna do this for one side, flip, maybe after 1 to 2 minutes, depending on the quality of the sear. And then, yeah, we'll get ready with the next phase of the cooking process. Okay, we're done searing the meat. It doesn't have to be super perfect, just that you get enough brown char on your meat. You don't want to burn things, about 1 to 2 minutes per side. I've already gone ahead and added the iodized salt to my meat, basically 3/4 teaspoon per pound. I was about at 2.6, 2.5, so I kind of ballparked the last bit, just a little bit under 2. And yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and add our aromatics. Got our garlic cloves. And then some of our bay leaves. I like to push the bay leaves down just to make sure that it's going to impart that fragrance to the meat. You don't want it to float on top because I think the extraction of the flavor isn't as good. At least that's what I think. And yeah, let me just give this a toss to make sure everything is well incorporated. And we can go ahead and start the slow cooker. So after I kind of toss this meat, we're going to want to set this guy on low for about, it really depends. You got to see how you how the meat is shredding, kind of like what the texture is. Like if you take a look now, right? If I poke this, right, it feels really tough, kind of like it feels like probably a medium well steak in terms of the toughness. But this is gonna get really tender with the low and slow cooking over the slow cooker. And that is exactly kind of what we want from this beef cheek. I think this is probably one of the least favorite cuts of the cow, probably. It probably was an off cut and then it turned into like a delicacy, right? Because of people are resourceful and they make do with what they have. And they can make things delicious just with a little of creativity and inventiveness. And so we're good mixing this guy up. I'm gonna put a lid on this, turn it to low, and then we're gonna wait for about, I'm gonna check on this in about 9-10 hours. And yeah, I'll give you guys an update then. All right, so this has been about after 9 or so hours. I think 8 to 9 hours should be good. I went ahead and shredded the meat, but look at this beautiful final product. Here's a barbacoa, y'all. If you like this recipe, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more. That's a wrap, y'all.